morning and welcome to another live craft and chat where we craft and chat live. I am like a fish out of water today, guys. We've got so many things I have to remember. So let's run through some housekeeping to start with. I'm in the new studio, so I'm still checking audio and lighting and everything that needed a run through. This is the run through. I'm not sure how much noise we'll get from around the rest of the house. I'm not by myself today, so Abby is floating around. The other thing to remember is that, like I said last week, I have to finish a little bit earlier today because I've got to go and be a taxi. So we're going to finish up in an hour and a half instead of 2 hours. So if you're on my clock, it means about 11:30 that we'll be finishing up. I have a freaky saying it looks the same to me. I have brought the walls with me. I tried to make it as similar as I possibly could. There are some changes. There's no couch because there's not enough room for a couch. So I do have my usual office chair that I had in the house. So it's much more comfier than the one I normally sit on, but I don't like the big, look. I don't like the look. So it gets relegated to the corner while we're live streaming. Just some little changes, but the biggest issues for me are double checking that the mic's working and that, the lighting's not too bright. All these things that have to change from situation to situation. So let me know if anything is off or anything hinky. It would, like with the audio or anything like that, everything was unplugged and packed up and moved. So I'm hoping that I did have a look and check that no dials were adjusted, but it doesn't mean that the dials weren't adjusted. So we'll see how that all goes. So I'm just having a look through, like there was massive conversations happening well before the live stream started today. Ruth and Kathy going hard in their comments, making me hungry with what they were talking. I'm like, oh, I've had a banana. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, it's getting a bit warm in here. I wish I could. It's like getting warm in here already and we've just started. So at some stage I may run out and grab a fan. So I was like, oh, no, I won't need it. I won't need it. It's not that hot today. It's not that hot. It's stuffy is what it is because the door's closed. So I may possibly run out and get a fan shortly. So I'm just having a quick read here in the chat. Sally saying, good morning. We've got Sally and Jackie as our mods and Leanne as our mods today. It's a glorious autumn day, Leanne says. What's it like where you are? It's a bit warm where I am, actually. Kelly says, oh, my God, it looks exactly the same. No, but I tried to go as similar as possible, honestly. I'm not the biggest fan of change, and I'd gotten it just how I liked it out in the shack. So I took some photos, and then I was like, right, and when I was setting it all up, I tried to do it verily, that's a new word, very similarly. Let's move on. Frankie says it looks the same. Kathy says sounds good, looks good. Awesome. Thank you. Good to have you wherever you can. Thank you, Kathy. Jackie says aside from the missing count, it looks just the same. I don't think anyone would notice. No, well, I mean, it's probably more because I feel different in this space. So it is definitely an issue, but for like the feelings. I was talking to my husband this morning. I'm like, there are many emotions today. And I realized I think this, other than like traveling or being sick or die streams, I haven't streamed from inside the house for 4.5 years. So yeah, it is a lot. It's a lot. What's Louis doing? Louis is currently snuggled up with Abby in her bed, snoozing. I went in and checked on him just before, and he doesn't normally do the whole get under the blanket thing for a cuddle, but that's where he was. Leanne says, I love the lighting. We did have a play, like we were in a Zoom yesterday, poor Leanne, and the other ladies in the Zoom were like, I'm like, how does this look? What does this look like? So we did have to change some lighting around because some of it was attached to the couch. So couldn't do that. Where are we? Oh, Game Winners has got the fresh sausage rolls in the oven. Excellent. Very funny. Very, very funny. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm with you, Allegra. The lack of air movement kills me more than being hot. Absolutely. Even in winter, I put a ceiling fan on because I need the air to be moving around, and I think that's probably what it is. It's not super hot in here, but it's definitely still. Aircon is on the list. I've got a spot in the wall that I'm eyeing off, but it is not top priority right now. Let me have a look. That's right, Game Widows. We did. We worked hard to make it look good for today. Ah, gosh. So I'm still going through the chat. You guys are like very chatty today. It's awesome. If you're not knowing anything changed, you would know it's different. Yeah. Rebecca has been shopping, ordering some fiber and some awesome spindles. That's fantastic. I'm glad you're finding things that you like. I'm just going to keep. Oh, there we go. I think I've made it to the bottom. I made it to the bottom. Yay. Well, hello to everybody who's here in the chat. Let me know what are you working on during the live stream today? And I have got my queen out. Let's see if the camera switching works. Whoop. Okay. Bam. All right. I got my queen out today. Oh, actually, so exciting for me because this is my space and this is my room. I was able to do something a bit different for our overhead desk view. So I'm going to just show you that just because I'm excited by it. You guys be like, yeah, so boring. But I'm very excited, so I'm going to show you anyway. So desk view, hello, shows the whole desk off now. And I'm not in the shot. I actually like that I'm not in the shot. So yeah, so this is the queen. It's so huge. Yeah, so it's very exciting to have all of this stuff happening. Now, we are up to the purple row, and I'm just going to count here quickly. 1, 2. I just heard Louis sniff under the door. Okay, Louis. I think he's done hanging out with Abby. Okay. 8 and 9. Wow, this row, it's going to be really hard to remember. It is this 1, 2, then this one here. Oh yeah, that's gonna be hard. It's just singles. It's all singles except for on the point. So that's cool. What I'm gonna do, that's a much higher view. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, oh yeah, and if I move my head in, yeah, absolutely it would be in there as well. So what I'm going to do, you guys, is I am going to I'm melting. I probably should have tested the door closed this morning, but I didn't. So I'm just going to pop out and grab the fan, and I will be back. Okay, so I'm just going to give you guys my be right back screen, and I will be just a couple of minutes. It's just outside the door. I've just got to drag it in. Okay, I'm back. We have the fan. It blew my hair everywhere. I'm a mess now. Okay, we have a fan. We're good to go. I'm not going to melt and die. So, we'll see how that goes. Where are we? Yeah, you're not far wrong there, Freaky. Not far wrong. Yeah. Mods are going in with the mod bits. I think the other thing for me to adjust to is that I've moved all the screens around, so I'm looking at different things for like different information. So I think it's probably more noticeably different on my end than it is on your end, which is, that's cool. That was my goal. So I didn't. Let me scroll back. Did you guys let me know what you're working on? Oh, yeah, here we go. We've got Kathy's 3 more rows of her bee blanket. That's looking gorgeous. Don't forget that if you want to pop in photos of your works in progress over on the Fiberific Fun Zone, what I try to do now, like you don't have to, but if we're talking about something during a live stream, if you can add it to the link that Sally's put in, like add it into the comments there so that we all know that, like, oh, yeah, in that live stream, we're talking about this, and that's why, we've got random recipes or what have you going on. Oh, goodness me. So we have worked out ways to cool down this room a lot more, but they don't work when there's other people in the house because we have quite a small house and it's quite thin-walled and a little echoey, and so it's best to not have the door open when there's other people floating around. Not even if they're trying hard to be quiet and what have you, but yeah. So when we're back to live streaming and Abby's at school and things like that, it'll be different. Like I'll be cooler. Is what'll be different. Yeah. Oh, Jen deals at the end of a filet tablecloth. Kelly says, I like it when the posts are within the live stream alert. It works really well. Yeah, it helps me remember like what we were talking about because like you guys know, these live streams are like totes random. And so being able to like, oh, that's right. That's why everyone's posting biscuits, like, do you remember that week where just all these biscuit recipes were going into the fun zone? And it was because we'd chatted about we wanted to make some biscuits and you guys had some awesome suggestions. That's the other thing I should warn you about, that when I'm tired and a little bit stressed, which I am at the moment, truth be told, my stutter plays up a little bit more, so I have to really think and control how I'm speaking. So it may rear its head. It's not generally too bad, but sometimes it does. I'm just double checking I'm doing this right because it just feels too easy. Do you know what I mean? Like there are times when you're working on something and you're like, I have to have done something wrong because that was too easy and that was too fast. But no, that's what I'm doing for this row. Okay. So in my cup, I have coffee. I've just got coffee. Nothing exciting. Cottage Keeper. Oh my goodness, I was thinking about you the other day. It has been such a long time since you've been in. And thank you. I'm loving my blanket. It's been going for a long time. We've been working on it together for a long time. Rebecca has a question. Is cashmere a short, staple, or fiber, or long? I couldn't remember. I ordered some Mongolian cashmere in a deep red cover. It is a short staple, usually quite short. But if your support spindling, so you should have no problems. Freaky says, question, I see stitch markers. Are they in the pattern? So I just put stitch markers. I don't have them on every pattern repeat, but I do try to put them on most, especially for today's one where it's just all singles except for on the beginning stitch. Yeah, they actually suggest them in the designer suggests using them. I quite often forget to move them, and they'll be like down here while I'm trying to work up here, so it's kind of useless. But yeah, so just yeah, the designer does suggest them. So yeah, alrighty, we're going to pop that off there. Oh, sorry, Sally, good point. These are removable stitch markers. I can move them. They unclip. Yeah, so with crochet, you have to use the ones that open and close. With knitting, if you can use the round loops. If you use the solid round loops in crochet, they do become a permanent part of the, unless you get out there with some pliers or some cutters or something. But yes, these are lockable crochet stitch markers. Cottage Keeper, I'm glad to hear that he is doing so much better. I'm so happy to hear that. Freaky says, I almost asked if you missed a stitch and then I noticed the color. Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's not to say I haven't missed a stitch. I was just double checking this one because that one's a bit looser than the ones next to it, so it looks hinky. But that'll fix up in the next round. But yes, different color. So each row is worked in a different color. That's how these tinner patterns work. I don't know if that's the same for all mosaic crochet. I haven't. This is my first big mosaic crochet project. I've only ever done Tinner's mosaic crochet. So I don't know how to say her last name. I'm not going to butcher it. But yeah, so I'm sure that different designers would have different ways of doing it. But this is just the way that I've been learned. And now Kathy was saying in the chat before the live stream started, she was asking about my crochet technique because she said that I do it differently than she does. So what it is, Kathy, is when I'm teaching and I'm trying to make it very clear what I'm doing, I kick the finger right out and I go in like that. So it's really clear what I'm doing. So you can see exactly where the yarn's coming from, exactly where it's going to. And you know, you can keep it very clear. Now, you guys know me. I'm a very lazy person. And I end up, you know, with finger issues. My finger gets sore, my finger gets tired, whatever, bored. So I actually don't hold it like this when I'm just crocheting for myself. I only do it when I'm recording videos or when I'm teaching a class. And it's just so the visual is easier for people to understand. And it also, for beginners, it helps to give them better tension. And this may still be the case for non-beginners, but this gives beginners a better chance at tension. Now, when I'm crocheting for myself, I actually just stick my fingers straight under it. I don't know if you can see. It's something. If I just stick my finger straight under it, just like that. Now, and just hold on and the back. And it still creates the little triangle, but it's much smaller. And I actually tension it because these fingers are all holding the yarn. And so, and what I don't even realize I'm doing it, but I've started noticing it, is when I'm crocheting, I lift these fingers up to release the tension. And it's just an automatic thing. Just, oh, it's a bit tight. My fingers will open up to let the yarn through. But it's just how I hold it. And as long as you get the stitch you want, it doesn't matter all that much. So I'm just going to check my speed test. All of a sudden, my signal here has dropped a little. So yeah, so that's how I do it. Did that help, Kathy? If you can let me know in the chat, or if you need me to do it again or whatever. Yeah. Alrighty. So I'm just going to keep progressing on with this. And I will keep an eye on the clock today just because we do need to finish a little bit early. Abby's now awake, so that's one stress off my mind. She was still in bed when I first started the stream, but she when I walked past to grab the fan, she was awake. So yeah. Oh, thank you from Kathy. Awesome. That made sense. Excellent. I'm glad that helped. Leanne says, I'm anticipating that it may take me a bit to get back into my adventurous queen. I think when I put it down, it had gone wrong somewhere, so I might have trouble. Well, then you just bring it with you to some catch up or meet up and we will help you. Kelly says, I found once I held my finger out when crocheting, when I got back to knitting, I could hold my yarn exactly the same way, winning. Yeah, absolutely. So continental knitting and crochet are very, very similar. And I do keep my finger out when I'm continental knitting. Absolutely. So it is exactly the same, except you're picking with a needle rather than picking with a hook. So that's one of the reasons why I love continental crochet so much. And you can turn your work without having to drop your yarn too. That's the other thing. So yeah. Oh my goodness. This week, like, I'm sort of sitting here thinking my week has been absolutely bedlam and chaos, but I don't think any of it's that actually exciting to talk about. It's all been about the big office move. So just getting everything set up in here. There's some things that we've set up in here that I wanted to set up in the shack but couldn't. So we now have like noise blankets on all the walls. So hopefully that will reduce some of the noise. I'm loving the higher up overhead cam. I've actually attached it to, there's a light fitting in this room and I've just clamped it to the light fitting. So that's fun. So that's actually one less stand on the floor, which is really helpful. I've set up this overhead camera a little bit differently. So that's another thing that's not on the floor. So yeah, I think it is a lot more different for me than for you guys. So, but yeah, my brain's still running, like, because the shack's not empty and it gets picked up in a couple of days. So my brain's still like, okay, I've got to move all the Tentex stuff. I need to move out all the printers, I've got a checklist that looked overwhelmingly long. And I went through it yesterday and moved a lot of the jobs that I've done. And I was like, you know what? I'm nearly there. Well, the shack is nearly empty, but then I have to fix my house because right now my house looks like the shack exploded and everything landed in my living areas. So there's a bit of that going on. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Ruth Young says, I still haven't learned continental knitting. Do you know what? If you're happy with your knitting, then you don't need to learn a different way. For me, it was that I found, I think it's English knitting, just, throwing. I found that to be slow and cumbersome compared to how I felt about crochet. And then one day I was just sitting at I was a member of the Queensland Spinners and Weavers Guild. And I was sitting there chatting with a lady while she was knitting. And it's just like, I just was watching her and I'm like, oh my God, how are you doing this? And she was like, oh, it's called continental knitting. It's where my mum taught me. And I was just like, oh. So I went home that afternoon, found some videos. The quality was terrible, but the actual instruction was phenomenal. And just loved it. And it took me a while. But I got it. I definitely got it. And I was so happy with it. And now it's just like, if you're a crocheter and you're struggling to knit, go continental. But if you're happy with how everything's going, just go with what makes you happy. Yeah, it's when teacups are involved and they hold out the fingers, they're posh. Absolutely. Jancy, welcome back. The shack is going because it was rented and they bumped the rent up by 40%. And it was just too much for me. I couldn't afford it anymore. So the shack is on its way out. We cleared out. This was my craft room. It's now the studio. Most of my personal craft has gone into our long-term storage unit, except for like I've got a Kallax shelf and that's got lots of yarn and lots of fiber, and I've got all my tools and I can always go and grab more stuff out of the storage unit. It's mostly fiber. I didn't realize how much I had. There's something like there was 3 100-liter tubs as well as 6 50-liter tubs. I don't know if that works out to be gallons, but it just feels like a lot of fiber. And there's still fiber here. And so, yeah, I've still got plenty to go along with without having to even hit up the storage unit. So it's made me realize that there's possibly some things that I don't need. So yeah, so we'll see. There's a lot of sorting to happen. Oops, I nearly knocked over my coffee cup. That's bad. Yeah, the rent went up crazy amount. It was really, I was actually shocked. I actually rang them because I thought this has got to be a typo, right? But yeah, no, apparently not. And I talked to them and I was like, this is like quite an old unit and it's a little, and they're like, yeah, that's right. We did take that into consideration. Most of the others went up by 70 to 80%. And I was just like, okay, I'll stop complaining. Oops, I skipped a stitch. Where? Hang on, I'm having a look. I don't think I did. It looks good. Are you guys just trying? You guys have joined the freaky gang now, and you've stressed me out. Ruth has retracted that message. So good. Thanks, but thank you for I'd rather find out now than find out when I'm crocheting over that row and have to pull everything back. So yeah. But it's been fun working out like for this setup. It's been fun working out what I actually need versus what I had set up. So, and because also I did have the sound blanket set up, but they were set up on a backdrop thing, so with big legs and stuff like that. So I was able to actually pack all that up and put it away. So that saved heaps of space because this is my room and we own the house. I just like drilled holes in the walls and attached like hooks to hook everything up. My husband's coming. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's my room, mate. It's my room. I'm doing whatever I want with it." And he's just smiled and walked away, left me with my drill. It's like they'll stay upright, and I'm like, "Yeah, they might. If they don't, I'll drill another hole." This room all needs it's a pretty old house, and the ceiling needs resheeting, and one of the walls needs resheeting. So I'm not too worried about the condition of a couple of little drill holes. They're little pin-sized drill holes. Bit of a sand and probably even just a sand would probably fill the holes in. That's how small they are. But yeah. Now I'm freaking out. Like, did I miss a stitch again? No, I'm going to keep going. Oops, I'll move that. Holes are easy patch. Absolutely they are, especially little tiny ones. So yeah, I got no issues. The roof needs resheeting because in the last lot of, not the last lot, but you guys may not, some of you might not have been around, but back at the beginning of the year, there was a massive hailstorm that came through here and it smashed up our roof tiles and our solar system, and then all the ice had filled the gutters, and then there was this massive torrential downpour in the rain, and it actually came through internal walls out in the entry area of the house, because like all the valleys were filled with ice. And so we had to have like people come out, like insurance company came out and assessed it and fixed up a lot of things, which was great. But yeah, so some of the things we didn't notice that were a problem, and now getting the insurance company to come back out and do it, especially now, we're just like, you know what, this would be a pain in the butt. So we're just probably going to do it ourselves, but not this week. That's our joke. We're not doing that this week. Not a priority. Like, it's a priority to make sure that everything's like watertight, but it's not a priority to make it pretty. There has to be some pros to moving inside. Absolutely. So a couple of the pros are, I can actually affix things to the walls now. So hello, love that. And B, if I need a coffee, so close, I can just put it on the be right back and be back in like 5 seconds. and make a new cuppa, which I probably won't do, but like knowing I could if I wanted to, that's nice. Another one is like with some of my nighttime streaming that I do with other creators, being out in the shack in the dark by myself was always just that bit nerve-wracking at 3 a.m. So it's nice that I'll do that from in here. So I don't have to worry about being outside. Oh, that's another thing, Talia. Yes, no need to run cords outside anymore. My husband will be very happy to not have to disconnect the power from the shack every time he wants to mow the lawn. So, yeah, there are definitely some positives for sure, for sure. So, we've got now a little announcement. Due to some situations, we actually have 2 spaces have opened up for the Fiberific retreat. So if you want to come along to the Fiberific retreat, send me a message and I will send you a form. It is in September. We go away. We have a really fun time for the weekend, fully catered. It's a really nice spot. I'm actually hanging out for it so bad. I really want to go, and it's just going to be so much fun. So yeah, I've just realized something, I think. No, I'm good. I'm good. I thought that it's because of how I've had to set this camera up, I've actually had to flip its image in software. And I thought that it had flipped this image as well, but it hasn't. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Kelly Pole is super excited for the retreat. Me too, Kelly. Me too. Cannot wait. And it's coming up fast. Like we're already halfway through April now. So it's only a few more months away. So I'm very excited. Sally says, so hanging out, hoping to get up there in September. I should be able to, but who knows? We've got our fingers crossed for you, Sally, because I know that there's only one thing stopping you. So, you know, I've got my fingers crossed. There we go. This I keep checking because it's so easy that I'm like, oh man, there's got to be a problem. And the other thing, like, I've got to realize I can lean back a bit more now because of how this camera's set up. I'm so used to having to do this to be able to like keep it in the shot. Now I can do this and keep it in the shot. Hang on. Wiggle over. Wiggle. There we go. Yeah. So I've moved everything around on my end and I'm like a fish out of water, honestly. Sally says, yep, so do I. Should definitely find out what's happening. Oh, cool. Well, that's soon. That's soon. It's like a month. It's exactly a month for us. Cool, Sally. Oh, wow. I was so stressed out coming into this live stream. I was convinced something was going to go wrong. I mean, admittedly, I probably should have set the fan up earlier. But I was just so worried that something technical was going to go wrong or something wasn't going to work or, you know, blah, 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 blah. But it seems to be all good. So I'm just starting to relax now. So nervous energy is dissipating. Ruth said, would love to, but the cost for me to come there would be out of range. Be a 2-day trip to get there from Florida. Yeah, absolutely. That's such a huge trip. I'm friends on Facebook and on Twitter with a lot of creators, and most of them are in the US. And one of them was just like asking everybody, like, hey, when was the last time you went to Vegas? And I was like, never. And he was just like, what do you mean you've never been to Vegas? I'm like, well, I live in Australia, mate. I've actually never been to the US at all. And he was just like, oh my gosh, you've got to come. You've got to come. And I'm like, well, one day I will get there. And I'm like, there's so many people that I want to meet when I go over. But I also understand that the US is not a tiny country. So I will not get to meet everybody, but hopefully I'll get to meet some. Finally, I have the MRI at the end of this month and then have phone call consult on the 14th. Oh, my fingers are crossed hard. So are Jackie's. Like, so hard that they can sort out what's happening and make you all better. That's my hope. Rebecca has gotten herself a Spanish peacock spindle. I have a Spanish peacock spindle. I have a little mini Russian that my husband bought me one year, and it is so adorable. It's such the cutest spindle. They need to reciprocate and come to Oz. They do. I mean, that would be nice, wouldn't it? But no, most of them don't, is the problem. Oh, goodness me. I am. I feel I've realized I'm visibly relaxing, and I'm like slumping down. I'm like, ugh. I'm calming down now. All the calming is happening. And we're nearly at the end of a row. Like, how cool is that? I'll tell you another benefit of working in this room. When I run out of yarn, the balls of yarn are just right there. I can see them. I would be able to just get up and grab a new ball. We wouldn't have to stop working on it. So that's exciting too. Oh. Lots of positives. Hang on a second. Whoever shared those nicely painted support spindles on Facebook, I so wanted to hear, yes, the wings flap when you spin. Sadly, no. No, they don't. They don't. But they are beautiful. I've got one of those, and it's got Rey from Star Wars on it, and she's got her lightsaber, and it's painted in some glow in the dark paint. So like that's fun, and that spins beautifully. And then also I have one that has my old Fiberific logo, the old one before the blue one, the old green one. It's been wood etched, like burnt into. There's a word for it. I can't think of it, but anyway, wood burned into it, and it's just so cute, and it's such a great spindle. I've just got to check something here. Sorry, guys. I know I try not to do this. Oh, hang on. Is this exciting? Awesome. Good news there. Something nice has happened. Can't share it, but it's exciting all the same. Pyrography. Thank you, Jackie. Pyrography. No, that's hand done. It's not laser cut. They hand do it. Because of all the curves, it's too hard to laser cut. They've got to do it by hand. And there were two messages, because what had happened is I got two messages like in quick succession. I saw them come up, and I was like, that's either something bad that I need to deal with, or that's two separate things. And it was two separate things, one of which, Tibbles the cat, was very happy. We were able to go and get him some more cat food. Like, okay, so random, totally non-craft, like bizarre topic, right? Did you guys know that there is a worldwide shortage of prescription cat food for cats that have got, like, you know, urinary issues? So it's a vet prescribed cat food, and I'm just like, how can there be a worldwide shortage of cat food? Anyway, there is. So of this prescription one, so they've managed to secure me a big bag. So that was the vets calling me. So yeah, so I'm just like, I'm like blown away that getting the cat food is an issue. Hang on, we're at the end. I'm just like, oh my goodness, I've got to make sure I'm doing all this stuff right. Here we go. Freaky, you know what? And I thought the same thing. I said, and that's what I said to the vet, and they're like, actually, there's people out there who feed their pets the prescription pet food because they can, because their vet will let them buy it, even though their pets don't actually need it. So, yeah, I was just like, are you, like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, really? And she was like, yeah, no, it happens. We've had to actually talk to some of our clients and just let them know that they'll need to change their cat's pet food, because while they may like it or prefer it or whatever, there's people out there who need this stuff for their cats, or their cats will end up hospitalized. And I'm just like, we're in that list, aren't we? And she was like, yeah, you guys definitely need it. So, yeah. Caroline says it is the same shortage for prescription dog food. Wow. I mean, it makes sense. They'd probably be made in the same places. And Rebecca says that normal cat food is hard to get here too. Really? Wow. Kelly said that the gosh, there's more of you that are affected by this than I thought. I noticed a specific type we buy was unavailable for months. Yeah, we buy a very big bag and keep it airtight. And so we've just got one cat. And so a bag lasts us a couple of months. And we were able to buy a bag a few months back a bit early. So we grabbed it. But they also said that some people are just stockpiling it too, because they're like, oh, it's hard to get. I'm like, oh, that's like hoarding toilet paper, right? Sally says it will be odd for me to actually buy food for my pet. Oh, yeah, because you wouldn't have to. Dog and cat food is hard to get here. I just can't believe there's a shortage of pet food. Jancy says our normal food keeps going out of stock as well. Far out. Freaky says that cat food will be in short supply, as tin is that they're running short supply of, but I don't see how that affects the dry food. Yeah, because I get dry food, I don't get tin food. But yeah, like there is a massive metal shortages happening around the world right now. Yeah, Corey brings it home from work. That's what I thought. Rebecca said I had to go to 3 stores just to get a few cans for baby kittens. Oh my goodness. Oh, there is foil on the inside of the bags. Definitely. I didn't even think of the foil. You're totally right, Kathy. It's totally part of the tin food problem. Oh my goodness. Wow. Isn't that just crazy? It's just crazy. All right, let's join on this next color. Because we are like the rows didn't get shorter. It was just an easier row to do. It was like there was nothing tricky to remember. Okay, let's add on. Yeah, Lisby, I didn't realize it was a foil problem either. I'm hoping that tail's long enough. Whoops. Should I redo it? No. No, I'm going to leave it as is. Being brave. Stupid, brave, same thing, right? Oh, yes. Cats having to change food. Aren't they the fussiest little things? They're so fussy. Just nightmarishly so, actually. Nightmarishly so. We used to feed our cat raw food, but they let us know it's actually dangerous for the dogs. So now they both have different special diets and no longer. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. So that's not happening anymore. That would be terrifying. But yes, it's having a daughter who works at the vet clinic now, I'm learning some extra things as well. Like, I knew that dogs couldn't have like avocado and grapes and things like that, but I didn't know that they weren't allowed to have onion. Oh, hello, yarn buff. Forgot about you, didn't I? Yes, I did. I coiled it up neatly, but it was yarn buff from last week. Gosh, it's only been a week. There's shortages of just about everything here in Lismore. Not many shops are open after the floods. Might not be open till at least August, if at all. Oh my goodness. So where are you going grocery shopping, Knitspin girls? Like, because the floods that happened in Lismore in New South Wales were just unbelievable. Hang on a second. Did I go? Yeah, they were just insane. They were just like third story buildings were getting water into the third story in places that had never had water come up past the second story, like ever. It was just an insane amount of water, just an insane amount of water. Oh, wait, what am I doing? Have I done something wrong? I have. Hang on a second. All right, let me look here. I've got to do some counting, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then 2, then 1, then 2. Really? Oops. Just about to push the iPad off the table. Hang on. Okay, alrighty. This is what we're doing. I'm following the instructions. Following the instructions. Okay. Yeah, no, I didn't get to work through it all, but I did tidy some of it up. Yeah. Knitspin Girl says the only supermarkets are a granola bar and all in the same small. Oh my goodness, they would be insane. Molly's just jumped in. Daylight savings has mucked me up. Oh yes, because that's right. Daylight savings is now over for the southern states. So we're all back on the same clock again. So just as a little reminder for myself as well as you guys, we are finishing early today. We'll be finishing in about 45 minutes. I need to go and be a taxi to get Abby off to work. Hopefully she's in her room getting herself ready and what have you. Because we basically need to leave, at 11:35. Not cabinet fine or anything. Yes, I can imagine a town of 30,000 people all shopping in the same 3 small supermarkets. Goodness me. Fingers crossed that this time next year in Canada, we will never change the time again. Are you guys having a vote? We don't do daylight savings in Queensland, which I love. I love not doing it. But I do find it frustrating that everyone I want to call is on daylight savings. So Lisby has little dogs, and I would assume the raw guide dog food would be for big Labradors. It's my sort of thinking. I could be wrong. Allegra wishes that we did have daylight savings in Queensland. I think I have hit a nerve. Hang on a second. I've just got to check what I'm doing here. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. It's more crocheting, but it's another easy one. So cool. I'm good. The whole full light being at 4 a.m. is, yeah, I agree with that. I have thick curtains so that it doesn't come in my bedroom. Like my bedroom is a cave. Yeah. Allegra says, no nerve hit. I just prefer more usable light. Fair enough. I've always found it like the reasons like that some people used for not having it were always like just that little bit, like some of them I thought, are they kidding? Like, are they actually joking? Like, too much sunlight will make my curtains fade. Like, it's still the exact same number of sunlight hours. We're just using them differently. And cows don't like getting up later, or I can't remember all the reasons, but I'm like, I just don't like it. I don't have like a actual like well thought out reason. Just don't like it. I don't like having to deal with the math. That's it. That's why I don't like it. Let me look here. Lisby says, I'm dead against it. Won't want to try and sleep when it's daylight and need the cool nights. Yeah, look, I remember when they trialed it, I think I was like 10 or 11 when they trialed it here in Queensland. And I remember the conversations my brother and I were having with my mum, because our coming home time, like back in the day, you could just go out and play. Our coming home time was when the streetlights came on. And that changed to, we had to wear a watch and we had to be home by 4 o'clock, not unreasonable time. But it was like, 10-year-olds, we were in bed by 9, but it was still full sunlight at 9 o'clock. So we've gone from not even needing to be home when the sun's out to having to be in bed while the sun's out. And I just remember the arguments with my mum. And that could be, part of my brain. Like, I don't like it. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. Yeah. Daylight saving, fade your curtains. Like, seriously, who came up with that? Is that a meme, or did somebody actually say that? Because I'm always surprised by it. And I can definitely understand why people in like northern Queensland, like Mackay and Cairns and all those places, I can totally understand why they don't want it, because their days are really long already. Yeah, Allegra, you went through the being sent to bed at 7:30 in Albury when it was still daylight sucked. Yeah. For people in Queensland, your day length doesn't vary as much change as those down in the southern states. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. I live in Queensland and it's a subtropical state. So it's different. It is different. Have I done two? No, I'm good. I haven't stuffed it up yet. Just keep it on going. Where are we? Someone really said that. Oh my goodness. Because it's one of those things that you just feel like is just one of them urban myths. Like a friend of a friend said this thing, but it's actually no one's friend. And just, yeah. I am close to the equator. Southeast Queensland is very east. It is, yes. And northeast. I don't want more. I think the only reason that I stay living in Queensland is because of the air. It doesn't get as dry or as cold, so my asthma doesn't play up as much in winter. But oh my goodness, if I could, I would travel to another place for summers. I would be like, yep, I'm out. Bye. The North Queensland peeps are, because they are further west, so they are aligned different. They are aligned different. Oh my God. Francis, how many times did you have to ask before that happened? Oh my goodness. Allegra says, not only is Queensland backwards, it's also literally slower for the rest of the country for half a year. What? You need to go and check his temperature. I think there's something wrong. it's anything like my daughter. Oh my goodness. It's like, wait, what do you mean you did? What do you mean you did a chore without being asked? I'm just going to sit down for a second and recover. Oh, I probably should have had a bit more for breakfast. My tummy just grumbled really quite loudly. Game Widow says, every spring I get jet lag from daylight savings for a few days. I just do things like ring people at really inappropriate times because I forget that they're not on the same clock as me. Or I get rung at 7 a.m. for something, and you'll just be like, do you know it's 7 a.m.? Oh, sorry. Look, while I've got you, and you're just sort of sitting there like, really? You're going to keep going. Okay. Yeah, when I travel and have to cross borders, like because my mum lives just over the border, right? So it's an hour and a half's drive. But when there's daylight savings, we have to remember that when we come home, we actually lose an hour. Like, so it's technically like if we leave my mum's at 5, we've left mum's at 6 and we're not getting home till 7:30. So it's just like you're not home in time, for a normal dinner time because we have dinner at 6:30 usually. Oh, hang on. I've done something silly here. One stitch too many. But yeah, so it's little things like that. The harder things to try and remember is New Zealand's time of doing. I know there's this hinky. I call New Zealand a fair bit when I'm dealing with Margicraft. And I actually have to Google it every time. I just hit up Googs and just be like, what time is it? Oh, hang on. I'm just double checking I haven't set mine off. Just like, what time is it in, Tauranga right now? Just checking that it's not like, 10 o'clock at night. Nitspin Girl says, time differences crossing the borders always does my head in. Yeah, me too. And like remembering that all the paperwork and everything from the airlines is at whatever the local time is. So not, my local time, if that makes sense. Yeah, Australia does have a lot of different time zones. It's because Australia's huge, right? It's like we don't have a huge population because we're around the outside of the country, but like the country itself is enormous. Yeah, it's 3 to 4 hours usually, and then sometimes 2 for New Zealand. It's just like, oh man, I just, I just always message first. It's like, is now a good time to call? Or I just check the time because I cannot keep it straight. I just can't. But New Zealand's a different country, so it doesn't feel so weird double checking the time zone before I ring. Like I always check the time zone before I ring Chow Goo. And when I would talk to Nancy's Knickknacks, I would double check there as well. I'm so sad about what's happened with Nancy's Knickknacks, honestly. It's so disappointing. I loved their stuff so much. And now it's just gone. It's just gone. Yeah, like we can't keep track of New Zealand. It's so funny. It's so funny. Why is it gone? So a few years ago, Nancy and Bob Schroyer sold the business to someone who'd been working for them for some time. And because they were ready for retirement and what have you. And he was he'd been doing a lot of the work for them anyway. So when he took over the business, it was a natural fit. But unfortunately, he passed away very suddenly, and quite a young bloke. I believe he was under 40, and he passed away very suddenly. And so nobody knows how to make a lot of the things because he was making a lot of the things for the Schroyers, and they just never assumed that he would die because he was just so young, and there was no succession plan in place. There was no information anywhere, and they just closed the door. They just was like, yep. So getting spare parts has just been like, apparently there's a trust looking after stuff now, but I've not had a single email replied to since they closed their doors. So like I can still order. I could place an order, but I won't get it. And trying to get my money back is really hard. They haven't shut that part of it down. So I've learned not to do that. But yeah, it's just very sad. And because their equipment was just amazing. So I've actually got here one of the 2-yard Swifts that's still brand new in the box. I was going to unbox it and build it for a YouTube video. But as I can't, I could still do that, I suppose, but it defeats the purpose because no one can buy one except for that one. So I'm going to be selling that one. And yeah, it's just like, it is the last one that I have. He did pass from cancer, and it was very, very sudden. And yeah, like that's the thing, that as a dealer, we weren't informed. Like I had people telling me it's so sad, that he's got cancer. And I'm like, who's got cancer? That we weren't informed. We weren't kept up to speed. And that is disappointing as well. And like, he wasn't the only staff member. So it is just, you just expect someone to send an email, but nope. Anyway, I think they were trying to keep it all going after he went. But yeah. No, just a Swift, just a tabletop Swift, not a yarn winder as well. Their yarn winders are amazing. The other problem that I have is a lot of my equipment is motorized, and I can no longer buy replacement motors. So once their motors die, luckily for me, I actually purchased mine with all their manual options. So I will be able to downgrade them to manual. But I know there's people out there who only bought the motorized part of the ball winder and didn't buy the manual winder. So that'll be disappointing for them. Maybe one day someone will kick it back open again and spare parts will be available. That would be lovely. I just like the spare parts. And I've chatted with Bob Schroyer about things because he designed a lot of the stuff. And he gave me some great help, but unfortunately, being able to order like the spare motors and things, I had to order 100 of them to be able to get them made because they're all custom. So they're not like a standard one I can go and pick up somewhere. It's something I'll have to get custom made. And I don't want 100 custom motors. Goodness me. But anyway. All right, Sal. I think, you know what? I think we're going to get through a second row. Are you guys as shocked as I am? I am totes shocked. So yeah, so that's what's happening there. When do I change colors again? Not for ages. That's good. I don't have to worry about that for a bit. Just checking. So what is your favorite piece of equipment that you have for your crafting journey? Like, is it a particular brand of hook? Is this like a skeiner or a Swift or a ball? It's like whatever. Like, what is your favorite thing? No, this is only the second one, Freaky. That would be like insane to have a third one by 11. These rows are like 2.2 meters long. Oh, Freaky's put his favorite thing up, spindles. Yeah, I love a good spindle. Like, it's got to be a good spindle, but love good spindles. And I just love, like, I like the wooden ones. And so I love all the different woods. And when the spindle makers show the grain, and I got a thing for handcrafted timber products. I had to be really careful how I worded that. Oh, Frances loves her e-spinner. It's an Eel 6. Is that the new plastic ones? Because I've been looking at those, and how quiet are they? Like, are they loud or quiet? I've got one of the old, I think it was the Eel 5s. It was the timber one. And one of the timber minis as well. Now my standard timber size one broke. It's dead now. It died. But the mini's still going. Yes, it's super quiet. Oh, that's awesome. Because that was my issue with the timber one. It was actually quite loud in the scheme of things. Like, we tried live streaming using it, and I had to actually set up like a hood to try and muffle the noise from the microphones because it was very loud. It makes a huge difference to how fast I can work these rows. Oops. If you do the right stitches. When there's not like a million things. I suppose you're right. I suppose you're right. Yeah. For Molly, it's a toss-up between the KA Switch, Leica, or ChiaoGoo needles. Oh my goodness. That is a tough one. That's a tough one. Francis says, I had the Nano. It was really noisy. The 6 just hums. See, I don't mind humming. Humming is all right, especially for such an inexpensive, like, if I'm going out and buying one of the, $2 or $3 grand ones from Hanson or, something like that, that better be silent, is what I'm telling you. But for a couple of hundred, I'm like, you know what? You can hum. I just don't want it to be just like annoyingly distracting. I like that. I can set them up with my laptop power bank. I love that. One, two, three. I thought I did something wrong for a second there. It's just a puffy stitch moving over. Look at this. We're nearly at the end of the row. It's just there. I think we are. I don't know if we'll get a third row done, although it looks like to be a pretty basic row as well. Maybe. Miracle of miracles. Miracle of miracles. Kelly says, I love my interchangeable ChiaoGoos and my clover hooks. Yeah, me too. Those would be my favorite of those. And then my Susie Pro spinning wheel would be next. Off to feed the masses. Bye, Game Weirdos. I hope they love your sausage rolls. I don't have a favorite thing. Love everything I have. Matilda Fluoro rulers. What are they? I don't know what they are. I'm just, I don't, there's some messages that are coming through that I'm not sure what they mean, really. And I don't know if we're being trolled or whatever. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the sentiment. So just keep an eye on that one, you guys. I'm just talking to the mods, sorry. Fluoro green quilting rulers. Okay. Oh, I think I do know the ones. I think I've seen them. Sue Ellen joined late. Did I miss the tour of the new studio? We didn't really do a tour, did we? I mean, I can run through the new camera angles. That's really what we did. My device is my favorite tool. I just know I wouldn't have learned so many things without it. Do you mean like your laptop or something? Oh yeah, Sally's on it, Leanne's on it. Thank you guys. Yeah, and that's the other thing to remember in the chat as well. If there's someone making comments that either the mods don't jump on or I don't jump on and you don't like the language or whatever, you can block them yourself and they'll only not appear for you. So yeah. Whereas when the mods block, it's gone from the channel. Yeah, I agree, Leanne. Like, I love my laptop and my iPad and stuff like that because not just because I'm a technology junkie, but because of the connections that I've made through them, if that makes sense. And not just like how to learn things, but like people. So yeah. So I'm going to get to the end of this row, Sue Ellen, and then we'll jump through some, because look, there's only that much to go. And then we'll jump through and have a little look around the new studio. It's a lot smaller than the old one, but in this room, it is just the studio. There's no stock in here as well. So that's one advantage. I've been able to set it up sort of more custom, if that makes sense, because it's part of a house that I own. I'm able to actually put things on the walls and not just sort of, I mean, some things have still sticky tape to the wall because it just worked. So it was fine. So like my backdrops here, they're just painters taped up on the walls. So yeah, so it's that was the thing. So it looks very similar. We were having a discussion at the start of the stream about how if I hadn't mentioned it, maybe they wouldn't have noticed. 15 minutes until I have to go. Thank you, Sally. Hang on a second. Are you okay, Abby? The bunny lizard. Oh, guys, we've got a blue tongue lizard in the house and they're just, Abby's dealing with it. I'll be back in just 1 second, okay? I'm just going to make sure they're okay. It's out of the house. It had gone into the kitchen. So yesterday, Louis, sorry, just quick back to everything. Yesterday, Louis was losing his mind, and I found it's a big fat blue tongue lizard that was just trawling around the living room. Except it went behind some furniture, and we couldn't get it out. And I figured, oh, it's safe enough there. Well, then I just hear Abby like screaming. So, and it was in the kitchen, and it was just walking along where the sliding door is. So I just sort of leant over it and opened the door and teased it out the door. So it's back outside now. So it'll be safer out there, hopefully. Abby's going to send me a photo because she took photos of it, and I will add them to the fun zone. Oh, goodness. Oh, but I'm glad it's out now because it was beautiful. It's a big fat blue tongue lizard. And I think there's a blue tongue lizard. What's the other one that's my brain? It's not giving me blue tongue. Anyway, yeah, they're fine. They're fairly slow moving. They're not hyper aggressive. Once I realized it was a lizard, not a snake, I was okay yesterday. I was just like freaking out at first because you just see the little tail whip somewhere and you're like, ugh. And then it was just like, okay, no. I definitely saw his little feet. So, no, I'm thinking of a blue tongue lizard or not a bearded dragon. There's definitely no beard. I can't think of it. I'll put it in the fun zone later as well. When I think of it, I was talking to Tim about it this morning, so I know what it's called, but my brain's not giving it to me right this second. Yeah, Allegra, I agree. I'm fine with lizards, but not with snakes. Absolutely. Oh, hey, Nat Power, how you going? No, not gecko. I'm thinking of another large lizard. Anyway, we're at the end. Hang on, I'm just double checking to make sure I do the right things here. 1, 2. It was pretty big. It was easily 30 centimeters long. So a foot. And then 2. And then all the way to the end. And very, very, no, not a frilled neck. It's what they call the Eastern blue tongue skink. Abby's looked it up. It's an Eastern blue tongue. There you go. So, and I think she's just sent through photos. So when I get home from taking it to work, I'll drop them in the fun zone under this video link so that we know where it is. Yeah. It was quite big. It was very big and like round and like very chunky and solid. And yeah. And I don't think he was a fan of being locked in the house because he walked in yesterday because I'd been moving some stuff in and out of the shack. So I'd left the sliding door open and I don't think he was expecting for it to be closed behind him. And it was. All right. We just finished our second row. Like, I mean, we normally barely get through 2 during a full 2-hour live stream. So I think we're doing pretty good. Yeah, blue tongues are fantastic. They eat heaps of bugs and they eat spiders and they eat like all the bugs I don't like, blue tongues love to eat. So I'm totally okay. It also means you've got really good air quality if you've got blue tongues as well. So I'm okay with that as well. All righty. So let's have a quick tour of the situation. So this is the full shot now. We know it looks very, very similar. I'm just pushing the blanket down. It looks very similar to what we had before. It's a bit smaller. No couch because there's not enough room for a couch because the wall is just like there. And then we've done something a bit different with the rack. Like we spent like a couple of hours yesterday in a Zoom call with some of the Zoomy girls. And while we're all chatting, I was setting this up. And so like getting all the lighting and everything just so. And then you've seen the overhead camera angle. So that's actually on a new, like it used to be over the side on a separate piece of equipment. Now everything is attached to the table. So because it's a standing desk, so when I raise it and lower it, everything comes with me, which is great. But we do have it at the desk view angle shows more stuff now. So it's higher up. It's actually attached to the light fitting in this room. So you get to see more of my desk, like all the space. And so, yeah, so this is sitting on a different sort of thing here. This is still the same. That's the same. Lots of, lots that are the same, but some things that have changed or just a little bit different. So yeah, so, I've been able to put in, that's a sound curtain that you can see there. And the black that you can just see over there, that's another sound curtain. It actually goes all the way around that other wall as well. So then I've actually got a third sound curtain, which I haven't installed yet, but it's actually going to go over the door all the way to the ground. because under the doorway to this room, there's a gap that lizard could have totally come in here. The gap is like this big under the door. And so a lot of the house noise, because we've got all lino through the house, so a lot of noise travels under the door. So I've got that sorted for when I'm having to go live when the whole family is home, because Tim and Abby are like 2 teenage kids. And so they are frustrating sometimes with their noise levels. So I'm really hoping that will help. But other than that, I think I'm pretty well set up in here. Like there's my Kallax unit for my personal craft. I actually want to move that into our bedroom, and then put a shelving unit in here to be able to put the rest of, like I've got here, you can see some of my crates of my small equipment, like extra microphones, gaff, Velcro tape, hard drives, like all that sort of stuff is there. And then down the bottom one is my camera bags and my like gimbals and things like that are down there as well. But then I've got like massive bags which have got like the, you know, your big softbox lighting, and I've got, you know, the bag that holds all of the gear for the backdrop, but like just big things that also need to be saved. So yeah, it's definitely it's definitely a change. It's definitely a change. Holly's saying it looks about the same from your point of view. Yeah, and that was kind of like, this is the thing, was I loved how it looked out in the shack, right? I'd spent the last sort of 2 to 3 years just getting that just how I liked it. And I finally was like, yes, that's it. You know, I just love this. And that was only a couple of weeks ago once I finished setting up these lights. And I was just like, I'm chill because I've got everything, like all this lighting can go off and on with a Google command. So I can be out in the living room and let Google know that it's time. I'm trying not to use any of the words. And it just flicks all the lights on for me, so I can come in and all I've got to really do is just adjust the camera and get comfy. And then on my Stream Deck, I've got a button that opens all the software. So I've been trying to really make things so that it's just fast and easy to jump in and go live or start working or whatever. And I'd sort of just finished setting that up out in the shack as well. So a lot of it's coming in, but some of the advantages is that it's, because it's in the house rather than outside of the house, I don't have to worry, like if it's raining, like if that flood, like the yard floody grossness that happened had happened with the studio in here, I wouldn't have missed anything. I would have still been able to pack orders. I still would have been able to print. I still would have been able to do all that sort of stuff. The big downside is that this room is not big enough to hold all of my stock. So all of the stock is out in the entry area of our home. So you walk in and it's just racks of just stock. So we've got to work out what we're going to do there. But for the time being, they're fine there. They're safe and clean and no dust and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So is it more functional even though it's smaller? So it is. There are definitely some things that I was able to, because I was pulling everything apart, I was able to put it back differently. Like, you know, I changed how I wanted to do something, like with the overhead camera here, it's on a different arm now rather than on a mic stand. So it's a lot more stable. So, I mean, I don't know yet. This is sort of like the first real day of using this space. I packed some orders yesterday, had a Zoom call yesterday. But this is my first live in here. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see. I think it's too soon to tell. But because we own it rather than rent it, I've been able to drill hole. So I'm like, drill hole, put in a thing. So that's pretty cool too. Let me look here. Yeah, we were looking down and seeing that we all grew taller during the move. Absolutely. Absolutely. The sound curtain will be needed for Chantel to ensure the quietest lives happen. Yeah, so the sound curtains, did I miss a question about the sound curtains? So basically, I'm just using moving blankets. Sound blankets are very expensive and very heavy. And so it's not even just a case of paying for them, but also of mounting them was going to be an issue. So I just picked up some moving blankets, and they actually just stop like the audio from bouncing off the wall and coming back as an echo. So it actually stops at the curtain and doesn't bounce back, which is what we needed. So I still, like, I've got to put some stuff on the floor because I've got lino floors. So this room, like when it was empty, even Abby came in and was just shocked at how much it echoed in here. Because this was my craft room, there was no hard surfaces around. There was fluff everywhere. And so, you know, just changing it from that space to this space has been huge. It's been very big. Yeah. Let me look. Oh, okay. So some of you also know, well, a lot of you know that I also run a second YouTube channel, Ins and Outs of Live Streaming. Tomorrow's special guest on the other channel is Doug Hewson. Doug Hewson is a phenomenal moderator, and he has his own channel teaching people how to be better at YouTube, explaining YouTube features and things like that, explaining how to use them, and also tech reviews and things like that. And so he's going to be coming in and having a chat with me here tomorrow at 11:30 over on the other channel. I think the placeholder's already up over there, so you can go and check that out. It will be fun. We talk for about an hour or so, just about all things live video. Last week we had Justin Brown from Primal Video. That was such a great chat. I had so much fun with that one. And then a few weeks earlier was Shelley Nathan from Shelley Saves the Day, and she is phenomenal as well. She's just such a huge broad experience across sort of the internet as such, and brings it all into her live video and for how she runs her channel as well. So yeah, if you want to come and hang out, like I do run that live stream just a little bit differently than how I run this one. I do just sort of respond to comments that are relevant to the conversation, just because I need to respect the guest time as well. But yeah, it's fun. So far, it's been fun. So far, all the guests have been good, and it's been fun. I'm sure I'm going to get a guest that's going to be less than great. Maybe. So far, no, everyone's been awesome. Sally's popped in the link. Thank you, Sally. I appreciate that. Freaky says, I'm just as naughty there as I am here. Yeah, you are. And that's totally cool too. I actually had to tell Shelley after the live, I'm like, that's Freaky, and he's like this all the time. Please don't take it personally. Francis says, I wish my local cafe invested. I wish so many places invested in some sort of sound treatment. I hate that like echoey, booming noise. And I think that's probably why I'm so sensitive about it in my space. Like, you guys probably don't even notice, but I notice. So yeah, it's one of those things. So yeah, Sally's popped the link in. The name of the live is Doug Hewson Talks Live Video. And Sally is right. Our time is up, unfortunately, today. I have to go and be a taxi to get my daughter off to work on time. And I will catch you all next week here in this space. And I hope you all have a fantastic week and a fantastic Easter if you celebrate. And otherwise, enjoy your long weekend. And I will see you all next Thursday. Have an awesome, awesome week and weekend. I've just realized I don't have the screens here. Here we go. Bye.